Peace be upon you, and welcome to a new episode. Today's video will leave you shocked, unable to believe the brutality and mystery of a story that shook an entire village. Imagine this scene with me. An ordinary day, no different from any other, in a small, quiet village in Sharqiya Governorate. People are living their daily lives on February 8th, 2023. Suddenly, a deafening explosion shakes Al-Mujaffaf village, as if a bomb had struck a house in the middle of the alley. Thick black smoke rises from what looked like an ordinary house, no different from the rest in the village. Terrified residents rush out of their homes, children screaming, and the mosque loudspeakers blare out, "People, there's a massive fire in Hajj Khalid's house. Come quickly. Hurry." Neighbors rush to the scene only to find a terrifying sight. The entire wall of the upstairs bedroom had collapsed into the street, leaving the room exposed as if a curtain had opened on a horror movie. Inside the room, a fierce fire blazes, flames reaching high, and in the middle of it, a completely charred body, no human features recognizable, like a fragile skeleton that would crumble into black dust at the slightest touch. The body is in a very strange position, crouched beside the nightstand, as if the person had been trying to shield themselves from something. Or maybe they had been tied up, unable to move. The ambulance arrives quickly, but even the paramedics freeze in shock, saying, "This isn't a normal fire. Even if the body had been burning for a whole week, it wouldn't look like this." Fear grips everyone. The big question spreads. What caused the explosion? A gas cylinder? An electrical short circuit? Or something far worse? The police arrive and begin investigating, only to discover disturbing details. The wooden door of the room was locked from the outside. The inside handle had been deliberately removed, trapping whoever was inside. The floor tiles were shattered, the walls cracked, and the window had blown out, smashing into the neighbor's house across the street. If children had been present in the Quran memorization center opposite the house, they would have perished. But by God's mercy, the place was empty at that time. Now, the burning question in everyone's mind: who was this victim? Who committed this horrific crime? And why? Today, we will uncover a story filled with love that turned into betrayal, devilish schemes executed with terrifying cleverness, and investigations that revealed secrets so shocking they'll make you think a million times before trusting even the closest people to you. But before we begin our story, don't forget to like and share this episode so it can reach as many people as possible. And if you enjoy Indian crime stories, subscribe to the other channel so you never miss the latest updates. You'll find the link in the description box. Without further delay, let's dive deep into our story. Everything began in the summer of 2010 in Al-Mujaffaf village, a small, quiet village under the jurisdiction of Dairb Najm in Sharqiya Governorate. Here lived a young man named Muhammad Khalid Askar Awad, who was about 17 years old at the time. Muhammad was an ordinary young man, active, ambitious, and known among the villagers for his good manners and kind heart. He was always helping the neighbors, loved to laugh, and dreamed of living a stable life. His family was simple. His father, Hajj Khalid, a respected man who worked in farming and ran a small trade in the local market. His mother, a homemaker devoted to the family. And his siblings, like his older brother Ahmad Khalid and his married sister who lived in the same village. They were a close-knit family. At that time, the family was divided between Al-Mujaffaf and Cairo, since job opportunities in the city were better. Muhammad himself worked small jobs in the village, like helping his father in the fields or selling goods at the market, but he had bigger ambitions. He wanted to move to Cairo and find a better job. During this period, in July 2010, Muhammad began noticing his neighbor's daughter, Azza, who was about the same age, around 17. Azza came from a modest family. Her father was a trader of flammable materials like gasoline and kerosene, selling to villagers and in nearby markets such as Deir Najm. Azza was a beautiful girl, quiet, intelligent, with eyes that carried a special charm. Muhammad fell in love with her at first sight. The romance between Muhammad and Azza began in a classic Egyptian village way. Al-Mujaffaf was a small community where everyone knew each other, and people noticed even the slightest change in the behavior of the youth. Muhammad started approaching Azza in simple ways. If he saw her in the street carrying something heavy, like a bucket of water, he would offer to help. At family gatherings, holidays, or weddings in the village, he would sit near her, drop light comments, or smile at her. Azza responded shyly, with quick glances and faint smiles, but over time she began to feel that Muhammad was different, that he was genuine and serious about his feelings. By August 2010, they began meeting secretly, on the outskirts of the village or near the Nile, when the air cooled in the evenings. They would sit and talk for hours. Muhammad would share his dreams. "I want to travel to Cairo, get a good job, build you a house here in Al-Mujaffaf, raise children together, and live in comfort." Azza would confide in him about her life, her family, and her wish for a stable life away from poverty. She would tell him, "I want to live with someone who truly loves me, not just because of customs and traditions." Their love grew quickly. Muhammad would tell her, "You're the only one who will complete my life. I'm ready to do anything for you, even if it means dying for you." But at that time, Azza was engaged to another young man, a traditional engagement arranged by her family. Still, she wasn't happy. Her heart belonged to Muhammad. In September 2010, Azza decided to take a bold step. She went to her family and told them she didn't want her fiancé and that her heart was with Muhammad. At first, her family objected, saying that breaking off the engagement would cause social problems and that the other young man was from a respectable family. But Azza was determined and said, "If you don't agree to Muhammad, then I won't marry at all." Muhammad also spoke with his family, telling them that he would never marry anyone but Azza, no matter what happened. His family noticed that he had become Majnun Azza, Azza's mad lover, because he was always distracted, refused any other girl they suggested for him, and would say, "If it's not Azza, then I don't want to marry." By October 2010, after long discussions, Azza's family finally agreed to break off her previous engagement. Muhammad went with his father, Hajj Khalid, to Azza's family to officially propose, and both families accepted. The engagement took place in November 2010 with a simple celebration at Azza's family home. People came to congratulate them, and everyone was happy that the two were truly in love. By December 2010, preparations for the wedding began. Muhammad was saving money from his small jobs in the village, and his family helped him collect the wedding and housing expenses. Azza, meanwhile, helped her mother prepare her trousseau, buying clothes and household items. By January 2011 they were ready, and a big wedding was held in Al-Mujaffaf village. Everyone came to celebrate. There was dancing, singing, ululations, and the couple looked like royalty. After the wedding, they decided to move to Cairo so that Muhammad could find better work. In February 2011, he found a job in a local coffee shop in Shubra, a working-class neighborhood in Cairo. The income was modest but steady. They rented a small apartment, marking the beginning of their married life. At first, life was like a dream. Muhammad would go to work in the morning, return tired at night, but find Azza waiting with a hot meal he loved. They would talk about their day, laugh at simple things, a strange customer at the cafe, or a funny situation on the street. Muhammad pampered Azza, buying her small gifts from his salary. He would tell her, "You are the light of my eyes. I can't live without you." Azza cared for him deeply, cooking his favorite meals, cleaning the apartment, and trying to adjust to city life even though it was hard for her. By 2012, they began thinking about having children, but they wanted to wait until they were more financially stable. In June 2016, God blessed them with their first son, whom they named after his grandfather, Khalid, who became the joy of the household. Muhammad would carry little Khalid, play with him, and sing him children's songs, while Azza was a caring mother, breastfeeding him and tending to his needs. In August 2017, their second son, Adam, was born, completing the family. Muhammad treated his children like princes, buying them toys, taking them on outings to Cairo's parks, while Azza managed the home and cared for the children, balancing motherhood with city life. But over time, around 2018, problems began to appear. Azza started complaining about loneliness in Cairo. She would say, "I'm alone all day. The kids need an open space to play, and you're busy with work from morning till night." She said she didn't have many friends in the city and felt mentally unsettled. Muhammad tried to reassure her, saying, "Cairo is where the work is. Money will help us build a future for the kids." But Azza insisted that she wanted to return to Al-Mujaffaf village, near her family, where life was calmer and the children could grow up in a more natural environment. By 2019, the small disagreements began to grow. Azza complained that Muhammad left her alone too often and that she felt like a stranger in the city. By 2020, with the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic, business at the coffee shop slowed down, financial pressures increased, and so did the arguments. Azza told Muhammad, "I want to go back to the village, let the children grow up near my family, and I'll be more at peace there." Muhammad tried to resist the idea, but in the end, to please her, he agreed. In the summer of 2021, Muhammad built a new house for Azza in Al-Mujaffaf village with the help of his family. The house was a comfortable apartment, fully furnished, with everything Azza wanted: a well-equipped kitchen, bedrooms for the children, and a spacious living room. It was the dream home for any woman in the village, and, just as Azza requested, there was no interference from her mother-in-law or sister-in-law. In August 2021, Azza returned to the village with Khalid and Adam, while Muhammad continued working at the coffee shop in Shubra, visiting them during holidays, once or twice a month, and sending monthly money transfers. It was then that the real conflicts began. Azza demanded large sums of money, much more than Muhammad could provide with his daily wages. He spent his entire salary on her. His mother gave her all of her pension, and his siblings, like Ahmad Khalid, helped with food, drink, and extra money. But still, Azza constantly complained, saying to her husband, "You're stingy with money, you waste it on your friends or other things." Some rumors spread in the village that Muhammad sometimes smoked cigarettes or hashish, and that when he visited the village, he would bring his friends to the guest room downstairs, which bothered Azza, especially since his friends would sit below while she was upstairs with the children. Muhammad's family denied these rumors, saying that if his friends came, they would only sit for a short while in the guest room and immediately leave if Azza was uncomfortable. The conflicts grew, and Azza began suspecting that Muhammad was cheating on her, since his visits became fewer, sometimes only once a month. She would tell her family, "He must have another woman in Cairo, that's why he rarely comes." By July 2022, Azza asked him to reduce his workdays to 5 days a week and spend 2 days off each week with her and the children in Al-Mujaffaf. Muhammad agreed to this request, hoping to please her and preserve the family. He began returning every weekend from Cairo to the village, spending time with Azza, Khalid, and Adam, trying to revive the romance they once had. But during this time, Azza began plotting something far more sinister: revenge. The main motives were the financial disputes that had built up over the years, her growing suspicions of infidelity, and perhaps psychological pressure from a marriage that was no longer as happy as it once was. Azza, who appeared calm and kind in front of others, began to devise a devilish plan to kill Muhammad. Divorce or separation wasn't enough for her. She wanted to end his life completely. In November 2022, she set her first plan into motion. She went to the market in Deir Najm and bought a strong poison, either rat poison or another toxic substance, costing 1,200 Egyptian pounds for 20 grams. She didn't use a large dose all at once, since that would be obvious in the autopsy if he died suddenly. Instead, she decided to kill him slowly. She began adding very small doses, about a quarter of a gram, to his food or juice each week when Muhammad came home for his weekend visits. She would cook him his favorite meals, like fried chicken or macaroni bechamel, slipping the poison into the sauce or juice so he wouldn't notice the taste. At the same time, she was preparing a second plan: fire. Since her father was a gasoline trader, it was easy for her to get 6 bottles of gasoline from him. She prepared them like Molotov cocktails, with cloth stuffed in the necks, ready to ignite from the heat. Her plan was clear. After the poison weakened Muhammad, she would tie him up with a rope, pour gasoline, set him on fire, and lock the door, so it would look like an accidental fire. The plan began to develop further. Azza gradually started removing her personal belongings from the bedroom: her clothes, gold jewelry, valuable items like her phone, and secretly took them to her parents' house, day by day, so that no one would notice. She was planning that when she set the room on fire, she wouldn't lose anything important. In January 2023, she began testing small doses to see Muhammad's reaction. He started complaining of abdominal pain, on and off, not constant. He would tell his family, "My stomach is burning. This Cairo street food is killing me. I need to see a doctor." His family thought it was just a cold or a normal stomach inflammation and advised him to take common medicine like Antinol. His sister even booked him an appointment with a doctor in Deir Najm. Azza pretended to be worried, telling him, "Don't worry, I'll cook clean food here for you. You'll feel better." But in reality, she was poisoning him. Muhammad never suspected her. He trusted her blindly. He would tell his friends, "Azza is the perfect housewife. She would never do anything to hurt me." In February 2023, Azza decided to carry out the final plan. She knew his sister had booked him a doctor's appointment on February 8th, and that was dangerous, because the doctor might detect traces of poison if he ordered blood tests. So she prepared everything. On February 7th, 2023, which was her 31st birthday, Muhammad decided to surprise her. He came back early from Cairo, bringing a big chocolate cake, and made a small celebration at home with her and their children, Khalid and Adam. The atmosphere was joyful. Muhammad sang "Happy Birthday," telling her, "You are the best thing in my life. May God keep you for me and the kids." The children laughed and played, and Azza pretended to be happy, smiling and taking pictures with them. But deep inside, she was plotting Muhammad's end. On the morning of February 8th, 2023, Muhammad got ready to go see the doctor. Azza stopped him, saying, "No, stay here. You don't need a doctor. I'll make you fresh vegetable soup. It'll soothe your stomach." Trusting her, Muhammad agreed, went into the bedroom, and sat on the bed waiting for her. Azza went to the kitchen, made a mango juice, and mixed in 2 full packets of strong poison. a lethal dose that would kill him in minutes. She brought it to the bedroom and handed it to him. He drank just a little but immediately noticed the strange taste. Almost instantly, he felt excruciating pain in his stomach, collapsed to the floor, writhing in agony, screaming, "Azza, you're killing me." Azza replied with cold, devilish calm, "Yes, and this is the last dose of poison you'll ever take in your life." Muhammad was completely weakened, unable to move. He begged her, "God will not forgive you. You betrayed me. Let my father raise the children." But Azza ignored him. She brought out a strong rope, tied his hands and feet so he couldn't escape. Then, she took out the 6 gasoline bottles she had prepared. She poured one full bottle over him and around the entire bedroom, on the bed, the closet, the floor, the carpet. She placed the other 5 sealed bottles inside the closet so they would explode with the heat and increase the destruction. She removed the inner door handle so he couldn't open it if he tried to move, lit her lighter, and set the room on fire. Then she locked the door from the outside with a key. She took her younger son, Adam, who was at home, and quickly went out into the street. Her older son, Khalid, was at school at the time. At around 1 p.m. on February 8, 2023, the fire spread quickly in the bedroom, and the gasoline bottles inside the closet exploded due to the heat, creating a massive blast that shook the entire house. The wall of the bedroom collapsed completely into the street, black smoke covered the sky, and people in Al-Mujaffaf village ran in panic. The imam of the nearby mosque called out on the loudspeaker, "People, there's a fire in Hajj Khalid's house, come quickly." The neighbors rushed to enter the house, broke the front door and reached the bedroom. They found the body completely charred, crouched next to the nightstand, the bones turning to powder when touched. The fire was still raging, and the neighbors tried to put it out with water until the firefighters arrived. Azza was standing in the street, pretending to be devastated, screaming, "The gas cylinder exploded. Help Muhammad." But her young son, Adam, had already said to her earlier, "Mama, Papa is inside. The room is on fire." She told him, "Shut up, boy. Don't say that." The police quickly arrived from Dair Najm station, led by the head of investigations and the station's chief. They immediately started investigating and carefully examined the scene. They noticed suspicious details. The size of the explosion was abnormal for a regular fire. There was a strong smell of gasoline in the room, remnants of a rope tied to the body. The door had no inner handle. The tiles were shattered, the walls were cracked, and the window had blown out and shattered the glass of the neighbor's house across the street. They questioned the neighbors, who said, "We heard an explosion like a bomb. We ran and found the wall collapsed and the body charred." They questioned Muhammad's family, including his brother Ahmad Khalid, who said, "We didn't know what the cause was. Our brother had been complaining about his stomach for months, but we never imagined this would happen." The paramedics remarked, "Even if this body had been burning for 3 days, it wouldn't look like this. Something is wrong." Suspicion began to turn toward Azza because she was outside the house just before the explosion, and her 6-year-old son Adam said something strange. Mama knew the room was going to burn. On February 9, 2023, the police interrogated Azza, but she denied any involvement, saying, "I was in the street. I don't know what happened." But on February 12, 2023, after being confronted with Adam's statements and evidence from the scene, Azza broke down and confessed to everything. That she had been poisoning Muhammad since October 2022, giving him a small dose every week in his food or juice, that she had prepared the gasoline bottles from her father's place, tied him up, and burned him. She said her motive was financial disputes and her suspicion that he was cheating on her with another woman in Cairo. She admitted she felt no remorse, but rather a sense of relief after committing the crime. The public prosecution ordered Azza to be detained for 4 days pending investigation, and then extended the detention for 15 days. Forensic medicine prepared a detailed report confirming that the body contained traces of rat poison, administered in multiple doses over several months, and that the cause of death was poisoning combined with severe burning. Investigations revealed that Azza bought the poison from a shop in Najm, and that her father indeed provided her with the gasoline without knowing her plan. The trial began in the Zagazig Criminal Court, case number 9743 of 2023. The sessions lasted for months, during which the prosecution presented strong evidence: the forensic report, Adam's testimony, the neighbors' testimonies, and Azza's own confession. Azza reenacted the crime before the prosecution, and during the sessions she said, "I am not regretful, I just wanted to get rid of him." Muhammad's family, including Haj Khalid and Ahmad Khalid, testified in court. Muhammad loved her. He gave her a new house 2 years ago. He spent all his money on her and the children, and he never failed her. The two children, Khalid and Adam, became orphans, and Muhammad's family took them in to live with them. In June 2024, the court sentenced Azza to life imprisonment, 25 years, on charges of premeditated murder and deliberate arson. But in the final session, the case was postponed to September 2025 for further medical examinations, possibly to consider an appeal or mitigating circumstances, such as Azza being a mother of 2 children, or the accumulated marital disputes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a terrifying story of betrayal, a love that began in 2010 with rosy dreams and ended in 2023 with a brutal crime. Muhammad Khalid Askar Awad died a victim of his blind trust in Azza, who transformed from lover to killer. May Allah have mercy on him, grant patience to his family, and protect the children Khalid and Adam. The lesson from this story is that marital disputes have solutions, like dialogue or divorce, not murder. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. If it's your first time on the channel, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. Stay tuned for the next episode. Goodbye.